Hey guys, this is Marc Silverman, Silvy from Waddle and Silvy on ESPN 1000. I'm the guy who's taught Tom Waddle everything he knows, including how to catch the football. And of course, you're watching and listening Brags in the Stands, a place that I come for knowledge, I come for entertainment, and I want to hear and talk to Jake more than I talk to Brags.
Kick, it's been battered, it's been bruised, and I can sit up here and give you coach speak all day long. I can give you, hey, we're going to win this many games. I can't, but none of that matters, and you guys don't want to hear it anyway. You've had enough of that shit, so excuse my language. All right, here's what I do know, is that this team is going to take on the identity of this city, all right, and the city's been down, and it found a way to get up. All right, it's found a way to overcome adversity. All right, and so this team's going to be built on, we're going to kick you in the teeth. All right, and when you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off. All right, and we're going to stand up. And then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. All right, and on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap. And we're going to get up. And then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing. All right, that's going to be the mentality.
Look out for the Lions, Jake. The Bears, they started this new tradition last year where they celebrate their wins the correct way.
Waddle and Silvy, ESPN 1000, don't miss it.
I know what you mean.
It's like their own Philly.
Okay. Okay, I think what it is.
We shouldn't be showing this. Am I crazy?
What have I told you? 17 minutes of rain would wash away 108 years of drought.
Do you see this team growing into the team that you were in 2005?
So, great claps, everybody. We'll see.
I gotta say is, Greg Braggs, you are ridiculous.
Gentlemen, Braggs in the stands, better than ever. I am your host, Gregory Braggs Jr., and this is my co-host, graphic design extraordinaire, super producer, Jacob Hovanek, and we are back and having some fun this week. AFC and NFC Championship week, so I know our guy Johnny B is more than excited. He was at the game last week, and we're going to get to him here in a little bit, and he'll be giving away his picks, as he always does, on Johnny B for 3. So we got a lot of stuff to cover today, Jake, a lot of fun stuff to cover. You know, trying to switch it up. Obviously, we're going to stick to talking our Chicago Bears, and we have a special guest coming on, Andy from Twitter, AndyGetBuckets, you know, a frequent caller of the Waddle and Silvy show, and someone that's been, poking to come on here on Braggs in the Stands, and we much obliged him tonight. So here in a little bit, we will have Andy come on. Andy Hensel coming on here to talk about a lot of things here involving Chicago sports. But, last week, Jake, to get right into it, because this was some fun, exciting stuff. To get right into it. And I don't know, I did tell my guy, Little Kevin, to get in the chat, and I'm glad he's here today because an interesting thing happened on Tuesday, Jake. Last week we were lucky enough, and you saw in the pre-show intro with Silverman introducing our show to Marc Silverman, our good buddy from the Waddle and Silvy show, got to, introduce the start of our show today. We had him on last week, and it was a fun, discussion, a very engaged discussion regarding George McCaskey and the whole front office. And it was interesting, Jake, because we, at the end of the interview, I, kind of slid in there. Hey, what's up with my guys, Bleck and Abdallah? We still cool? You're going to make sure they're cool. Remember when I brought that up to him, our good buddies, Bleck and Abdallah, how can we forget? And he was, kind of telling me about how they are, and how they're just kind of goofing with me and stuff. Well, that conversation spilled over to their show on the Waddle and Silvy show on Tuesday. So I want you to hear a little bit, because Bleck was calling out Silvy, and then there was a little bit of an explanation as to what Silvy said on our show. So here it is.
For Monday Night Football.
Silvy, I'm reading in the Twitch chat. Were you taking shots at Abdallah and I on Braggs' show last week?
Of course he was. We weren't there to defend ourselves.
No, I didn't take shots.
Is Trey Tunes lying to me?
I said that there are times that you guys do bits when you go. Braggs was asking me if you guys have a thing against them, and I'm like, they're fine with you. They're just sometimes they like to gang up and do their bits.
Okay.
That's the way I perceive. I believe, if I would do a parody song for you, Bleck, it would be to Madonna's Material World. And it would be because you are living in a contrarian world, and you are just a contrarian girl, and I'm
a man, but
you love to play the contrarian role. You do, and whether some of the takes are right or some of them are wrong, you like to fly the other side of the road that most of the traffic is driving down.
You're going the wrong way on the interstate? Is that what you're doing, mister?
Apparently.
You're going the wrong way.
Apparently
on
I am.
I-95. You're going to cause it.
So a lot there, Silvy kind of Trey Tunes, who's, a frequent of the Twitch chat on Waddle and Silvy, and he does his own work on Twitch. He's a really entertaining guy. Almost won the Waddle and Silvy parody show contest. He had revealed to Chris Bleck about what was going on, and now all of a sudden this spills onto the air. And I just found it interesting, I love the Silvy song.
Because you are living in a contrarian world, and you are just a contrarian girl.
That is the most beautiful thing. So it kind of dug up something, that wasn't even really what we were discussing on our show.
I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, I was just, we were just talking about how they are. And he was like, sometimes they like to keep up with a bit. Their bit is to be contrarian,
Right.
And it was just funny to hear them kind of, kind of spill that over onto the air. And then what I noticed in this first thing is, of course, little Kevin. He's in the chat, Jake. Not only our chat, but as you see, as I'm pulling up the Twitch stream from ESPN 1000, you got little Kevin in the chat hating on me. After I sent this dude, Jake, I sent this dude a Lou Malnati's pizza this weekend, and you got this guy. I'm not even in the chat. I'm not even in the Twitch chat to defend myself. And there's little Kevin making fun of me, taking Christopher Black's side of things, driving me crazy. So I want to quickly move through this because you got to hear the rest of it. Oh, and then the other thing that kind of hit me, did you notice this little thing too, Jake?
And I'm like, they're fine with you. They're just, sometimes they like to. And I'm like, they're fine with you. They're just, sometimes they like to.
He's like a little
okay, he's with me. He's we're trying to move him over the It's okay. I understand the Trubisky stuff got people a little jaded, a little excited. I have no issues when it comes to sports takes. I always I embrace debate. I embrace people that want to hold me, hold my feet to the fire. That's why I like little Kevin. He calls me extra. He calls me a hater. And I embrace little Kevin. He may be one of the biggest Twitter trolls out there, but if you just kind of appreciate what he's trying to do.
He's had Mitch Trubisky in his picture for who God knows how long,
exactly.
And he hates the guy.
What a perfect troll. I mean, and I appreciate people's crafts. I don't hate on anything. So, Silvy kind of doubled down on the whole contrarian thing, and it spilled into a kind of a larger conversation. So here it is.
Mm-hmm. You're going to cause an accident.
Would you agree that you like contrarian takes?
I would say this because I've been lumped in with this.
I don't subscribe to the group think that you think. Like I think you think that we should all think what you're thinking. So I do not subscribe to just assuming the same thought process as everyone else.
See,
you're telling me after
if that's contrarian, then I guess it's contrarian.
You're saying to me, the person who gets all the calls saying, Silvy, I never agree with you. Silvy, you have some weird takes. That I'm group think? That I follow the herd? The guy who started pointing out the problems at the top when no one else wanted to call it group think?
Well, you're the one saying that I'm a contrarian. So
you are.
What's
like
the opposite of a contrarian?
Well, I don't know. I mean, but that is not me. I mean, I'm saying.
So we're both contrarians.
There you go. I got two contrarians. I'm working with two contrarians.
I think a contrarian is more taking the opposite approach simply because it's opposite at times. Because it's cooler and hipper to go down that road sometimes.
Man, I would have loved to. I would have loved to have been here when Silvy was the younger guy on the station, and to see if the older guys at that time were calling him, because I feel like before Chris was on the show and it was myself and Jeff Meller behind the glass, I was given the contrarian name. Right, so
you're a contrarian too.
See,
you are.
No, I see, but that's the thing. That's the problem. So the reason we take such offense to being called contrarians is that these are our opinions. They're not just because everybody else thinks that, and so we automatically have to go opposite. We don't lie on the air just to make a point. These are our perspectives. This is our point. But because of our age group, I feel like we get lumped into this. Oh, well, you guys are just young and want to be different.
Can I tell you something? Quite frankly, that you two need to get over, though.
So there it is.
What was Silvy's last point there? I missed
it's coming. That's coming, because I had to split this up into three parts because I found it interesting because they kind of delve into the next thing Silvy has issue with, and I thought it was so funny. A little comment about Bragg saying something about Braggs on our show, which he did not.
Do you love this? That you're like the center of attention of all this? I mean, you have to just love this.
Christopher Black and Abdallah always say about my good buddy David Kaplan, who they always love to rag on, and they've got a little gif of him. There's my guy David Kaplan from ESPN 1000. They say rent free to David Kaplan. I'm rent free in the bullies of Libertyville's head, and it's clear because look at how much it unravels. As we're AFC NFC Conference Championship extravaganza, and our good buddy Andy Hensel's gonna join us here in a second. But I had to get through this because it was funny how they just kind of unraveled into this larger discussion about who's a contrarian and how you label your name. And I find labels to be funny, and I found it funny that they didn't like being called a contrarian while they themselves have called people truthers for their sports opinions for over a year now. So, it's just a little name. It doesn't really mean that's exactly what you are and everything that you represent. It's just kind of, just as you tried to label Christopher Black or Adam Dahl, try to label me as a truther because of my opinion. It's the same thing. What I see, it's not a bit. that's what I see, and that's what I say. It may be right or wrong, and I'm more than happy to have people tell me when I'm wrong. Have no problem with that at all. And I think that's the larger issue, is trying to, accept when you're wrong and you're right. And if you're going to be someone that goes at somebody's opinion, you got to be ready to take it a little bit. And these two guys, anytime a little bit of something comes their way, you hear how defensive they're getting towards Silvy about just a tiny little comment, like, how dare we suggest that Bleck and Abdallah are contrarians? They are. They love to play that. I call them, not only is my nickname for them, the bullies of Libertyville, but also Kibbles and Bits, because they love their bits. They've been keeping up with this truth or bit forever. And then the other thing in that chat, because you see little Kevin talking smack in the Twitch chat while this video is playing off the ESPN 1000 stream, courtesy of ESPN 1000, of course, my good buddies over there. And you see little Kevin saying, I started it. That drove me crazy. He's sitting there in the chat going, I've watched the whole Bleck and Abdallah saga, and this is all on Braggs. I did not start this, freaking little Kevin. Let's lay this whole thing out once and for all, because look
what you did, Kevin.
Because these dudes last year first tried to say in stadium Braggs and Sea Blue Braggs are two different guys, suggesting that in the stadium I was saying I wasn't a Mitchell Trubisky fan, and then going on the radio and purporting as one, which was a lie. Anybody that knows me knows I'm 100% in
He's
Mitchell
Mitch
Trubisky.
to a major fault. He's
yes.
Mitch
All
guy.
I suggested was that either don't take half measures, because I'm also one of those people that doesn't like to play in the in-between. And I said, either go into next season and play with Mitchell Trubisky being this 2020 season, or just completely fire everyone, wipe the slate clean, bring in Lincoln Riley and Jalen Hurts in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, there's your new structure that everybody wanted here after this season. And he took that as, I'm off the Mitch bandwagon. This was last year. I'm like, no. Then it forms into the whole truther thing all summer. And now I just find it funny because they're upset that Silvy is suggesting they're the contrarian. And then it delves into their age. Oh, just because I'm young, you won't take my opinion seriously. And I just thought it was so funny. They spent like 10 minutes, on their first day back discussing this because, the bullies of Libertyville can dish it, but they cannot take it. Braggs is a Mitch lover, of course. Our guy Money Mitch will always be our guy here at Braggs and the Stands. I will continue to root for him wherever he goes, unless, of course, it's on the Green Bay Packers. But to wrap this baby up, yes, Silvy then wanted to hold Bleck and Abdallah's feet to the fire a little more, and I just found it interesting because their show went completely off the rails because of a discussion that came from our show. So I had to put a bow on this and let you hear what Silvy's final gripe was with the bullies of Libertyville. And here
bumped into this. Oh, well, you guys are just young and want to be
different. Can I tell you something, quite frankly, that you two need to get over, though, on this show, at least on this show, that you two need to get over is the age. Because whether we agree or disagree with you, we agree or disagree with you. Your age is never held against you on this show, and you consistently bring up the age. My wife is your age. I have nothing against a 35-year-old. This is not a millennial thing. I'm talking about Chris Bleck and Adam Abdallah.
I have 28-year-old
That's
kid.
fair. That's
By the way,
you do make a good point. Our age is not held against us on this show.
It
You are correct
never,
in that.
Ever,
You are correct in that.
No.
You are correct in that.
Yeah, I don't think
I never
have
feel
an
the
issue with
need
that.
to put one of you on my knee and burp you.
Yeah, I don't. But
you
but
guys
Silvy,
are veterans.
6 feet away.
No, but I don't feel like that's an issue. Like I don't.
Like Sean McVay is what, 32?
34?
So much more accomplished than we are.
But more accomplished than all of us.
That's my point. Like, there are brilliant minds in sports. The age doesn't mean crap.
Yeah,
and,
I don't
you guys are
disagree with
veterans. Like, look, if you guys want to argue with me about the different things that I have, that's cool. But don't go to the default like you guys are the young, hip guys and we're the old guys, because we don't think old either. Waddle and I have opinions based on what we have opinions, and Waddle and I don't see eye to eye. But I don't feel like we always tag team every point that we don't agree with.
The opposite of a contrarian is a conformist or a conventionalist or an emulator.
I was actually, Chris, giving you a compliment about how it played out in front of you about Tony Romo.
Yeah, he sucks.
I just love how this turned into Bleck versus Silvy. I like that.
Fight!
It really hasn't. I
don't like Tony Romo.
Fight. Hey, shout out to my guy Silvy, having my back on the Waddle and Silvy show. You know, I've been a P1 his entire career at ESPN 1000, all the way back to when he was just a small little guy at ESPN 1000, working his way up. And then he had a show with Jay Mariotti, was the headliner, and they would talk sports. And that was when I first got to know Silvy. And then he, went off with Carmen DeFalco, and they paired up for a little bit. And once they split up, Waddle and Silvy have kind of led the way on ESPN 1000. And there's my guy, Marc Silverman, sticking up for me, and holding Chris Bleck and Adam Abdallah's feet to the fire a little bit. God forbid we call out the little boys, the little bullies from Libertyville. I gotta love this. Let's go! Let's go! There's in stadium brags for you, but I got to tell you, it was nice. It was just nice. I had to kind of review it. It was a funny little segment on ESPN 1000 on Tuesday, and hearing Silvy's parody song. And I am going to get our guy Al on this. We're going to have our own parody song from Silvy's,
because you are living in a contrarian world, and you are just a contrarian girl.
I'm 1000% having Al Fleischman make a contrarian world song for one Christopher Bleck and Adam Abdallah, because it strikes a chord with them. And I find that a little ironic for two guys that spent all year calling people truthers. So I digress. I had my fun today. I had to put that out there for all the masses to see. So without further ado, we are moving on. For 16 minutes later. I apologize, Jake. I would have asked your thoughts on this, but we've spent enough time on the Bleck and Abdallah saga. One day we will bring them on Brags in the Stands, and we will squash any quabbles, and we will get Christopher Bleck move off his.
And I'm like, they're fine with you. They're just sometimes they like to.
Hey. It is what it is. I know some people love me, some people hate me. There is no in between when it comes to one Gregory Braggs. So luckily, Jake stuck with me over here. And another guy that stuck with me for at least tonight is our guy, Andy. Welcome to Braggs in the Stands. Without further ado, I apologize for keeping you waiting while we went through that. But I didn't know if you caught that on Tuesday. I know you're a frequent listener to ESPN 1000. Do you have any thoughts to what we've just been playing?
I did catch that. I think that, first off, you guys can hear me good?
Yeah, we can hear you
perfect. Good. Thanks for having me, boys. Greg, I noticed that you have your Purdue hoodie jacket on, so got my Illinois stuff on. I got to represent.
Basketball season indeed.
That's exactly how you guys are. That's the three of you guys. You guys it's always about Mitch too. And Mitch is the one that kind of moves the needle. So Greg, you've been a very loyal Mitch guy. You have. And I do think that kind of bugs people sometimes. Mm-hmm. But I'm on your side, because I do agree. I mean, if he's our guy, we got to stick with him. Don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, when he's the QB1 and a guy trying to make, especially last year, in the summer where these arguments with these guys really we're coming to a head with Trubisky, and all I was simply trying to say was he was our best option for this year. I wasn't trying to predict, years of grandeur for Mitchell Trubisky anymore. I was just saying I knew he was better than Nick Foles, and they tried to make that label me as a truther. Oh, truther this, truther that, and it's just funny to me to hear them say, well, that's not my opinion just because you want to call it a contrarian. It's how I really feel. Well, that is exactly how I feel on the opposite end. So I found it ironic because truly, that's to me the irony behind the label truther. It's just a way to kind of dismiss what I was really trying to say. And that was, if they had just given the kid Mitchell Trubisky the whole year, I think they might have been better off. The biggest question is whether or not Matt Nagy would have actually adjusted the way he did once Nick Foles faltered in the 6-game losing streak. If they had just kept Mitch in, I don't know if Matt Nagy would have ever truly came to the realization that there was a lot of adjustments he needed to make. So I think it was necessary. And now that it's over, I can look back and say, what if they had played him the whole year? What if this, that, and the other? But at the end of the day, all parties didn't get it done. And I don't want to delve into this any further. That's why me and Jake here, we were ready to wipe the slate clean even after they made the playoffs, because it made the most sense for the future of this franchise. Now, just like Mitchell Trubisky, next year, I'm not happy that Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace kept their jobs, but does that mean I'm not going to root for them to prove all of us wrong, to prove Bleck and Abdallah wrong, to prove Waddle and Silvy? Absolutely, I'm going to root for them. And I'm already trying to figure out how we can get Deshaun Watson here. Does that make me a Nagy truther? No, I'm a fan of the Chicago Bears. So, there's a little in between when you're talking and covering a team. People want your opinions to have a little validity, but I'm not an analyst, and we talk about that a lot on this show. I'm just a fan in the stands. That's all we are. We bring on people that are smarter than us, and we give our opinion. If you want to respect it, great. If you want to bash it like little Kevin in the chat, go for it. We love that. That's what we embrace here at Brags in the Stands, and that's why we brought you here tonight to Brags in the Stands, Andy. So we appreciate you coming on, man.
And I thank you guys for having me on. I'm ready to mix it up, so I'm in for all Bears. I mean, you were just talking about how, if they would have just gave Mitch a shot. And it's like that narrative changed so fast after Nick Foles went out there, because going into the season, I was like, okay, I wasn't sold on Mitch. I'm not going to sit here and be like I was all in, but I definitely thought Nick Foles was going to be better than he was. And I mean, Mitch out the guy 110%. So in the end, Greg, I guess if you want to take the silver lining, it did kind of work out in your favor.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there was a little bit of I told you so at the end of the year, not because of the fact that they beat bad teams. It was, to me, the adjustment on the offensive line and the adjustment to their offensive philosophy, which is not something I've ever thought of. I mean, I was working with Bears Barroom for 2+ years, and I would always talk with Shane Marsaw, Phil Atoshin. They're now on the Tape Never Lies network. And these guys would show me, look, and I didn't want to believe them. They would show me how Matt Nagy's philosophy was flawed. And for me as someone, I can't tell you whether or not it's because Mitch can't read a defense. And I'm not saying that Mitch's deficiencies didn't hold this offense back. It did, but there was also a bigger picture of accountability across the board. There were so many people making mistakes and not being held accountable. There was so many miscues as far as what Matt Nagy was trying to do offensively last year, running the ball less than 7 times against the New Orleans Saints, coming off a bye, coming off Mitchell Trubisky's injury. None of that made any sense last year. And then we saw the same kind of decision-making this year, and a guy that just couldn't figure out the run game. So, yes, when they got to the end of the season, regardless of the opponents they beat, they had completely switched the offense, and it became a palatable team. It became a team that wasn't the 6-game losing streak Bears. They were at least a team that could function and compete. Now, am I saying that's something to throw a ticker tape parade about? No, but it was certainly a finally, this is what I've been trying to say, but I can't put it into words. You just have to kind of see it. When I was saying it's not all on Mitch, that was what it encompassed, was the offensive line, the lack of the run game, the lack of using a tight end, Cole Kmet finally getting involved at the end of the year. All those things coming into play. Now, like I said, let's move on to the next road. I'm already ready to find how we can get Deshaun Watson here, right the wrong, and be done with that whole thing. Unfortunately, Matt Nagy's still here, so everyone's still going to have their eyes on how Matt Nagy does with whoever quarterback they choose this year, and where Mitchell Trubisky lands and how he does on his next team. It's inevitable, but I'm totally ready to scrap that argument. I think it's a wasted day-old conversation that, we left it at the end of the Saints game. Now, the whole truther versus contrarian thing kind of sparked it up a little bit today, but as I said, the Mitch stuff was fun, but it's over now. I'm ready to get Deshaun Watson on this team. What do you think, Andy, on, we've seen a lot of different reports. Louis Riddick, who's as close to Matt Nagy as any person, is to Matt. He was putting out a little, hints that Matt Nagy is very interested in him. Do you think that this picture could become something that Bears fans don't, get nauseous at? Do you think it'll become something that is like a 30 for 30? What if I told you, kind of as Silvy said last week?
So I believe it was Jeremy Fowler had actually said, like, I believe that the Bears are going to get super desperate and try to make something happen. And I agree with him on that front. I think that they are kind of in a position where they're going to have to do something. There's not a lot of quarterbacks out there to help them. We all know Nagy loves Deshaun Watson, but if you look at it realistically, what do they have to give up to get Deshaun Watson? Even if you wanted to give up, your first round picks, everything, you're still picking 20 this year. I know the Jets have 2. The Dolphins are right there with the top 5 pick. So I feel like they're going to be all the way in. They're going to try and make it happen. But at the end of the day, I just don't think they have the horses in this race. Like you can maybe give up, like I hear a lot of people say, give up some defensive assets, and that's cool. But again, you almost have everyone on the defensive side kind of coming off of lackluster years. Like we've seen Eddie Jackson kind of be more of a playmaker than he was last year. Same with Kyle Fuller, all these guys. So it's just, what would that package be if you wanted to give up your first round pick this year? At 20, you would really, really have to give up something else. And I don't think they have what it takes on their roster to be able to do that. So I don't know if you guys agree with me on that, but like if you want to give up that 20th pick, you're going to have to give up something else. And again, you also have to get Deshaun Watson to agree. And if Allen Robinson's gone and Darnell Mooney is the guy and you still don't really know what you're doing on offense, it's tough. So I'm with the fact that they're going to try to do everything and they're going to be in the mix. At the end of the day, I just don't think they're going to have enough.
What are your thoughts on that, Jake? Do you think the Bears can push enough on the table for it to be something? To me, I think Deshaun Watson would come here. Why would he be following our weather people and screwing with? I mean, honestly, I know it sounds silly, but why would he do any of that? You can say that's reading too much into something. I don't. If he's
definitely going to lose money coming here,
if he's going to take time out of his day to flirt with Bears Twitter, I think that he would open it up. It would just be a matter of, can the Bears offer enough for the Dolphins for us to be the trade partner with the Dolphins? Do you think that's even a possibility, Jake?
Of course it's possible, but I do think I said something earlier in the week where I said I think if the Bears end up giving up a lot of assets for Deshaun Watson, then it's very likely that Ryan Pace is trading for Watson so another general manager can really get a lot of use out of him. Because if you're giving up a lot of picks and you're giving up guys and you don't have a lot of cap space, so you're going to have to maneuver those sorts of things. You don't have a lot of flexibility to field an ultra competitive team, although you do have a Deshaun Watson. But look what happened to the Texans this year, where Watson was still, playing great football, but the supporting cast was not there, especially after Fuller got suspended, and the team didn't go anywhere. So I don't know. I would love to have Deshaun Watson here, but I agree that
you give 4 first-round picks. I had heard today that the limit is in future picks is 3 years in advance. Is that true?
I don't know if that's true. I think.
Go ahead, Jake. Sorry.
I think you can. I think you can pretty much give up. I don't know that there's a cap on it.
I didn't know. Did you hear that? I thought I'd read on the Twitter sphere that there was a cap on future years you can go in advance. Because I would give up, if it meant the other teams were giving 3 first-round picks, I would give 4 first-round picks.
Guys, I'm being dead serious when I say this. I would trade every single draft pick we have this year for Deshaun Watson. I would. Every single pick we have, just for Deshaun Watson. Wow. Because at the end of the day, you can fix everything else, but we're just going to be back where we started. If we don't have a quarterback, then what are we doing? We could have the greatest offensive line ever. But I mean, people would laugh, I'll tell my buddies, like, would you trade every single draft pick for, so-and-so? And a lot of them are like, no, like, you can't do that. And I would absolutely call the Texans here, 1 through 7, take it. Give me Deshaun Watson. That's what they need to fix. I mean, if it's one more year of bad football, but you have Deshaun Watson, then so be it. You fix it in the draft coming up. But
I agree.
I would trade every single pick for Deshaun.
That was what I used to say when when there was rumor of Jay Cutler coming to the Bears. I would tell Jake, we used to be terrible, just like we're terrible now at picking first-round picks. And Chris Williams and all these guys that never worked out. I could go the whole string of them. And I used to tell Jake, I'll give up 5 first-round picks for Jay Cutler because we needed a quarterback. And we're almost in the exact same situation with a team that, has other holes, no doubt, but the quarterback is the most glaring one. There's no question about it. So anybody that thought I was excuse making for Mitch in the last segment, I am not. I do believe a guy like Deshaun Watson could help cover up things. Now, then they get a guy like Deshaun, regardless of how many picks they give up, then the onus falls on Matt Nagy to then get it done. You have your Ferrari. Let's see your offense run. And I'm excited. That's what I want to see happen, because all these other situations, when you break down getting a rookie at 20 or trading up into the top 5, to me, that's the same amount of equity you'd have to spend to trade for Deshaun Watson. You might as well get the for sure thing, especially when you're considering Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace are in a contract year. You heard Ted Phillips last week say that it is going to be performance-based. So I only have that to go off of. They have to be better than they were last year. How do they do that? It's not going to be with Nick Foles. So to me, go all in on Deshaun Watson. Do whatever it takes. If you lose, draft picks, so be it. I'm right there with you guys.
Yeah, and the part of it is, like, we've seen this before from the Bears. The Bears have always been in this position exactly where, all right, we're going to have to make another move. We need a quarterback. We need all this. If we were the Patriots or, I don't know, the Colts with Phillip Rivers retiring, I'm not trading all of my draft picks for Deshaun Watson, because I trust the people that are in place to go forward and do what's right and get it fixed with the quarterback position. But, I mean, I'm 26 years old. We haven't had a good quarterback my whole life. I liked Jay Cutler when he was here. To Bears standards, the guy was amazing. But at the end of the day, he was probably a little bit above average quarterback. So, I think it does the conversation about trading all the picks. Again, rather tank the year than trade a King's ransom. It's like, again, you got to be able to trust the guys that are going to be doing the drafting. And what have the Bears shown you over the last your whole lifetime? Anyone listening, what have the Bears shown you over your lifetime that makes you believe that they will be able to tank, and then when they do tank, be able to get it right? Because I haven't seen it yet. So,
yeah, it's definitely a concern. And I'm going to have my ears up. I'm spending the rest of this offseason full-fledged attack on Deshaun Watson's Twitter account. We are going to get him here by hook or by crook. Andy, last week we played some sound from George McCaskey, owner of the Chicago Bears, and I wanted to play this for you because to me this was the most shocking moment of the entire interview, or press conference, I should say, and I wanted to get your reaction to it.
George, even with this year's playoff appearance, the Bears have been in the playoffs 7 times in 28 years since the end of the Ditka era, and to a lot of fans that reflects on you. So how much merit is there to the idea that the Bears need people more rooted in football to make these football decisions than you and Ted?
Well, Ryan and Matt are our football guys. I've heard it often that Ted meddles in football affairs, and that notion is just absurd. It just doesn't happen. He's the president and CEO. Ryan reports to Ted. But the idea that Ted or I meddle in football decisions just isn't true.
No, that's not my question. It's not about meddling in the actual football, like on the field. I think the criticism is that you are judging the coach and general manager, and I think people feel that the Bears need people more rooted in football to make that decision.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Yeah. That's a valid criticism. My performance is evaluated by ownership and the board, and that's how that process works.
And there he is, George McCaskey, not understanding Mark Podash's question and not understanding, and as a Cub fan, Andy, you saw, they changed ownership, from the Tribune in all those, those dark days of the Tribune owning the Cubs, to Ricketts coming in, who's not a baseball guy, but he understood to get the right guys in place. Do you think George truly understands that he needs other people to help evaluate the people underneath him? Or is this just going to fall on deaf ears until he sells this team?
I mean, you guys just listen to that. You just listen to that answer. I think that basically sums it up. The guy doesn't even understand the question. So it's, he's not thinking that way because he doesn't even understand the question. The question is, hey, do you think that you guys need to hire a football person who can hire the people to make football decisions? Pretty simple question. Okay. All right. Yeah. He doesn't understand the question. So do I think he's thinking that at all? No, there's zero chance. There's no chance. That thought hasn't even crossed his mind.
It's disappointing because to me, it was an opportunity. You would have, I think, helped soften the blow to this fan base if you would have agreed to move Ted Phillips to the side, let him do the money thing, and bring in somebody. He won't even open his mind to it. You at least heard in the press conference him understand the difference. And, he was asked about Theo Epstein and different things. And maybe he'll do some self-reflection over this year because to me, name it down the list. Peyton Manning, Gary Fensick, we had Patrick Manley on. The guy went to Duke, very intelligent. I have somebody in that spot that's a football guy that has played for this team, that has, a pedigree of, knowledge and business acumen too, however you want to say it, smarts. And, that's why I bring up guys like Gary Fensick and, and Patrick Manley. And of course, Doug Plank, a good friend of mine, and Bearman, he's brought him up several times. Don Wachter, he's lives in the region and is a friend of mine. He's great friends with Doug Plank. I think a guy like that. I know it sounds maybe silly to some, but to me, anybody not named George McCaskey and Ted Phillips to evaluate Ryan Pace's job, it makes zero sense to me whatsoever. I just don't get it. So,
I think it's something that he could come around to eventually. I think when you see, if you took a little bit of time to look at the organizational structure of the Packers and see kind of how they structure out the football side of things, how they structure out the business side of things, and look at all the success that they've had over the past 20, 25 years, that another down season might make him think twice about what's going on here and the fact that he needs to do a little bit something more to get the right guys in house. And the thing about George is, like we said about it, it seems like he's just kind of a trust fund baby. He doesn't know anything about the football side of the business. He doesn't know anything about the business side of the business. And he's just here in the middle as the chairman because it's his birthright. So,
well, I certainly think that's why he holds the spot. Does he care? I don't think it's just about the money. I do think money is an indicator on some of his decisions, but I do think he wants the team to be great. He just doesn't know how, which is why I find it ironic that he won't find somebody to stand next to him that does know how, not named Ryan Pace. So you make sure Ryan Pace is evaluated. I do think the biggest, one of the biggest factors that a lot of people don't bring up, and I brought it up several times on this show. I heard Robbie Gold today doing an interview on the radio. I believe it was 670 The Score, but it could have been ESPN 1000. I was working. I was all over the place. But Robbie Gold was on, and he said his biggest regret playing for the Bears, he said he got everything done. He checked every box except for one, and it was not bringing home a Super Bowl trophy to Virginia McCaskey. And he specifically named Virginia McCaskey, and he talked about how much she meant to him as far as someone he wanted to win for. And that's a player that was only here for a decade. George McCaskey is blood to Virginia McCaskey. And I believe one of the biggest factors in George's decision-making is Virginia and his especially now, his onus to try to win one for her before she passes, because she's obviously heading towards 100, and it's only a matter of time. And I understand, and I think that played a huge. She could. She's a someone who still goes to Bears games. This year they had her at the Bears Packers game. So yeah, I think Virginia, long live Virginia.
I think she's in cryogenic freeze only until Bears games, and then she goes back into her hibernation.
She was holding the Hallis Trophy after they won the NFC Championship in 2006. I want her to win one, but that is, I believe, why George didn't clean house, and it was for Virginia McCaskey.
Well, it's such an easy narrative to say, I want to win. We all want to win. that's the game. We all want to win, but it's making the right decisions to set yourself up so you can win. And he's done a terrible job at that. And I think Jake, kind of to like your point, is like, I think he's kind of surrounded by like a bunch of yes men, like just the McCaskey family in general.
Yep.
When they don't really know football. So when they do make a decision, there's really not anybody there to be like, actually, we should maybe think about this. It's, somebody comes up with something and then it's all like, yeah, all right, cool. That's a good idea, because nobody really knows how to win. So it's just, you look at the 2 times they've gone to the Super Bowl, and it's because they've just kind of, they've drafted well, but they've kind of just fallen into incredible defenses. So it hasn't taken a lot of like business strategy or like, front office like strategy to kind of get to the point where they win. They end up having an incredible defense. It carries them a long way, and they end up having some success. So it's not even like they can go back to a blueprint. You can't just be like, now we have the best defense of all time. Like,
right.
That's our plan.
So the other thing that caught my eye concerning the Bears was on the Twitter sphere, and this person put out a tweet of George McCaskey, and I probably should have blown this up a little better, but in essence, this guy sent a letter to George McCaskey, and this was it. He marked out, his last name and the date or whatever, and it was basically telling him that he blamed George for the failures of the team, and that if he didn't fire Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, he was going to stop being a Bears fan, and he would become a Chargers fan even if he had to, and he would stop saying bear down and start saying stupid things like bolt up, apparently. And it caught my eye on Twitter sphere. It took off like wildfire. Some people questioning whether or not, did you guys think it was real? I know a lot of people have already seen this. Did you guys think it was real, or did you think it was legitimate?
I did see it. I thought it might be. I think the handwriting. That looks like legit letterhead. At least there. That looks like
that Bears logo shot on the front. That was just my first take. Not to cut you off, Jake, but not on the envelope, but on the actual card.
Right here.
Yeah.
I
think it might be legit.
And so what made it so interesting was
handwriting
George McCaskey, then sends this guy a return letter. The guy threatening George that he was done being a Bears fan. He was going to throw all his memorabilia away and become a Chargers fan. And this was George's letter to this guy. And it says, "Dear Mr. Gold, thank you for your letter of December 10th. We are disappointed to learn that you are ending your lifelong allegiance to the Bears. However, you've made an excellent choice in deciding to root for the Chargers. They have an exciting and talented quarterback and a bright future. Perhaps in time, we will give you or your children reason to return to the Navy and Orange. In the meantime, bolt up, George Hallis McCaskey." Now, it's a little bit of a checkmate at the same time. If you're a Bears fan, now that it's become a public letter, how does that make you feel when you read that, Andy? The sharpness of one George McCaskey back at a paying fan, or did you think it was funny and a nice little clap back at a fan that is not showing true allegiance to a team and saying he's done rooting for the Bears?
I kind of go both ways on this one. I think it's like George McCaskey's not in a position to be taking digs at anyone for not wanting to root for his team after how he's handled it and how things have gone over the past couple of years. I get it. A lot of people are kind of fed up with the Bears and they're switching to different teams. A lot of people just, will watch Red Zone or watch Fantasy. I don't know. I hope it isn't real, because it's just a terrible look. And it just goes to show you that, like, he just doesn't get it. It adds on to that point. This guy is obviously, like, how upset you have to be if you write a letter. You know what I mean? If you take the time to sit down, write a letter, mail it, you are very upset. And George McCaskey is kind of like poking fun, like, oh, they have a great quarterback, bolt up. Hopefully I can get you or your children, like in a next life, back onto the Bears, back onto the Navy and blue. It's just unprofessional for Israel. And like right now with everything going on with how bad the Bears have been and all of this, it's not the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. The bolt up thing was funny, but then right, like you said, when you take a step back and you consider, him not truly taking accountability of what the guy was trying to say, he could have went a different direction, but he chose to go that one. And then, as Jake said, it looks like a 5-year-old wrote it. That's kind of the other part of this that makes it maybe it's not him. But then when people were lining up the signature at the bottom of the letter, it does line up with people that have received his signature. I believe it was real. I believe it was. I the way he put it out on Twitter. I know anybody can fake this stuff. That GSA sticker makes me think a little bit because I don't know how professional that one looks. But man, does this header and the way the letter opens, or no? That's
I think that could be legit. I
yeah.
mean, it kind of if it is real, I kind of make I'm really down on George McCaskey right now, but it kind of raises it up like a little inch into the positive because I think it's clever in a way, and I think in one way it just says I have conviction in the decisions I made. This is how I feel. I'm strong about it. And this is it. Now, I feel like he's making the absolute wrong decisions. And I'm 100% think that this is going to blow up next year, especially if they don't land a huge fish like Deshaun Watson or trade up to draft a quarterback at number 2, 3, 4, whatever it may be, which buys Ryan a little bit of time. But it's I don't know. It's really ridiculous. But if that's his conviction and whatever, it's kind of funny though in a way. I'm very surprised that he wrote that.
I'm with you guys. I agree. I think it's a real letter because when you look at it, it's like if it was to be fake, it's a very weird fake letter. Like I'm gonna be a Chargers fan, and I feel like if you really wanted to make him look bad, you do I'm gonna be a Viking fan or a Packer
fan. And George
fan,
referenced in his press conference that he received a bunch of emails and that he was responding to them. A little brags in the stands. I don't know what to say on this little tidbit, little secret is I actually the person George McCaskey referenced saying that someone sent him an email that said, do something, fire somebody, that we don't deserve this, is actually someone that I follow, and he follows me on Twitter, and he shared that email with me. So, I do believe George responds to these emails and letters. And, to me, it shows a little bit of defiance from George. Like Jake said, hey, screw you. See you later. Cause we're still the Bears. And you know what? For me, I've seen a lot of people say, I'm not going to the games. I'm not going to buy stuff. There is a time and place to send a message to the organization. Bulls fans were doing it the last couple of years. So I'm not saying there isn't a time and place for that. I don't know if I'm going to be doing it week 1 entering the 2021 season. Let's see how the season plays out. Let's see what they do here in the offseason. I'm not ready to start saying I'm ripping the jersey off. I'm not going to the games. I'm not buying any stuff. I'm not there yet personally. I can understand why fans can get to that point, but I do think right now isn't that time personally.
George gets that stuff every single year too. Every single year. Even when Lovie Smith went 10-6 and they got rid of him, I guarantee he was getting letters saying, fire Lovie. I guarantee in years when things are being built and you got to be a little bit patient, like in the early bits of pace, I'm sure that people were asking for people to lose their jobs. I'm sure he's super used to this. It happens every year. So I could see him throw him a little shade back like that. But I do think he is getting the letters. He is thinking about it. People are asking him the right questions about what the organizational structure is. He'd already made what his decisions was prior to these press conferences, but I definitely think it's something he'll think about in the future, and especially if, as I anticipate that this blows up this season, I feel like that might be the time when there are real changes ushered in. It didn't have to be next year, but that's the way he wants to roll with it. Fine. But I agree. I mean, outside of making a huge trade up for a rookie, which gives Ryan a little bit of time, making a big trade for Deshaun Watson, I feel like this year is going to end a little bit of disaster based on the way that, everything's lining up that they're in cap hell. They don't have a quarterback.
It very well could. We just have to let the offseason let it play itself out first, and then let's get to week 1 and watch it fall apart. To me, I'm not gonna predict just doom and gloom this far, and we just started the offseason, and so it just is wasted energy to me.
I'm a diehard Bulls fan, and you brought up the Bulls, and like people really stopped going to the Bulls games because of just the circus that surrounded the Chicago Bulls, and people were fed up and they wanted change. And towards the end of that season with Boylan, people really stopped showing up. That's easy to do when you have 41 games. When you only have 8 Bears games, people are going to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Greg, you go all the time, so you know this, as well as anyone. But when there's only 8 games,
especially since we haven't been there in a year.
Exactly. And when you go to like a Bulls game, you're not, getting there early to tailgate. There's not this whole atmosphere outside of the game itself. So like you're literally just going to not watch the game. For the Bears games, people, that's how they spend their falls. They'll tailgate, they'll go to the game. So like I can't ever see Bears getting to a point where people are not going to the games. So
how about them Bears?
If people were in the stands actually giving them shit like they would have been this year, that would have felt a lot different too.
I agree. And that was like one of the biggest things that I would pick up when I was watching the game. And I think I tweeted it at least 15 times this year. Was like, man, I wish this fans in the States to just boo this team. Because you're watching it with nobody there and you just feel the frustration, like watching it at home on your couch. And like you want the players on the field to know how frustrated you are with what's happening. And just no fans being there, it sucks.
Yeah.
So Andy, moving off the Bears for a minute, why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about some of the work you do? You saw in the name bug, you're a broadcaster for the Joliet Slammers, and I'm assuming baseball season's right around the corner. So, that's something that you're going to be digging into, and you do a lot of other work too. Why don't you kind of fill our listeners and our viewers in as to exactly what you do?
Yeah, so I kind of I like to say I wear many hats. I kind of do it all. I work for the Joliet Slammers. I host their pre and post game show, and then do some play-by-play for them in the Frontier League, which is awesome. I definitely advise to come out to a ball game. Cheap beer, it's baseball, and it's a great time. You're gonna be outside. Last couple winters, I've been working with the Windy City Bulls, and obviously with the G League, kind of not being around. Currently with the NBA G League, they're gonna have a bubble coming out, but they're paying the teams, or the teams have to buy into the bubble, which is about 400, 500 grand per team. Yeah. So you do have a lot of teams not paying that to go to the bubble. So the Windy City Bulls will be one of those teams. So I'm kind of, in between stuff right now, kind of waiting for baseball. So I've been enjoying, getting able to watch the Bulls, be able to watch the Blackhawks. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm always kind of, tweeting, always big on Twitter, always talking sports, always talking Bulls. The Illini are one of my favorites. Greg, obviously, that being a big Purdue guy. So if you're interested in anything I do, I would say follow me on Twitter.
We were having this discussion, Jake and I, when we were talking about bringing you on, and I always want to make sure I get the graphic right for your name bug when we pull when we put the isolated camera just on you and we pull your name and what you do up. I'm a perfectionist, so it was like getting in my head. And your handle is at AndyGetBuckets, and I have to assume that you couldn't put gets in there because it was too long of a handle. Because if not, why don't you have the gets? Why is it just Why is it AndyGetBuckets?
Motivator.
Because it was honestly like when I made it, I don't know why I didn't put that S in there. To be honest with you, I'm kind of happy I didn't. I like how it sounds without the S in there. I know Stacey King used to call Jimmy Butler Jimmy Get Buckets.
Okay.
And that is how I kind of stumbled upon that. Okay. I'm a big Jimmy Butler fan. And I think like my name before that, I was It's like when I was in high school and I was like a defensive back, and it was like Hensel Island, like Darrell Revis. And then, I got out of high school and I was like, not really putting anyone on an island anymore. Like, why don't I go ahead and, change that? So yeah, there's no S, but I like it that way.
The origination of Jimmy Buckets is Jimmy Get Buckets. I would have never known that.
Yeah.
So that, and like Jake said, it's kind of like Andy Get Buckets. It's almost like telling you, as opposed to making the statement. So no, I had to bring that up because it was something I was talking about earlier. Now you mentioned you're a big, Illinois fan. You got the Illinois hoodie on. We've got some people in the chat that are big Illinois and Hoosier fans. Also, nice. I know my guy Chubbs 82 is a big Illinois guy. I did pull up the standings. What are your thoughts here? The Big Ten has been a dogfight here early on. It's halfway through now. And of course, my Boilers sitting there at 4th ranked. Michigan finally got beat, last week. What are your overall thoughts with the Big Ten, because it's been quite a dogfight so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's been incredible. It's been fun to watch. Usually I'm strictly Illini. They haven't been that good in the past, so there's no reason to kind of, see what the other teams are doing. But if you watch these games on the Big Ten Network, like, the play is phenomenal. These teams, any of these teams can beat any of these teams, with the exception of, like, Fred Hoiberg's Nebraska. Like, they're not very good. But, I mean, you look at the Illini.
Well, what's funny is you bring that up. Nebraska's at the bottom of this graphic at 0-5. Underneath them, they couldn't even fit in the graphic, was Penn State, who's beneath them in the Big Ten standings. And as you pointed out, there's not a night off for any team. Penn State took down Rutgers today. At the bottom of the Big Ten, they took down the Rutgers. And, now you've got, another team fighting for the NCAA tournament. I mean, how many teams do you think from the Big Ten will make it to the big dance? Because there is no NIT this year, so you either make the tournament or that's it.
I think that I think at the end of the day, and you look at all the conferences kind of separately, you're going to notice that the Big Ten is kind of the superior conference, especially now with Duke kind of taking a huge step back, Kentucky taking a huge step back.
Yep.
The ACC and the SEC doesn't really necessarily have like that big team. Florida State's a good team, obviously, but it really is the Big Ten, which is extremely deep. And then you have the Big 12, which is very top heavy with Texas, Kansas, and Baylor. So when it comes down, I think you can look a lot at the Big Ten. So like, I think Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Rutgers, I would even probably put Purdue as like already in for sure. I would say Michigan State, they're going to get in. So like Minnesota, Ohio State, let's see, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, Northwestern, Michigan State, and Maryland are going to be fighting for that last spot, and maybe Rutgers and Indiana, depending on how their next stretch of games go. I mean, I definitely think 9 at the minimum. But to me, 10, 11 should make it. But man, they're going to beat each other up so bad. Like Rutgers just lost, so they're 3-6 in the Big Ten. And Indiana, they've got like 5 games in a row that they are definitely going to lose. So it's really interesting to watch. They're all talented teams, but they just beat the crap out of each other so much. It's so important to get those early wins. Luckily, my Boilers have done that so far.
Well, you've had some lucky shots. So,
games.
And hey, you know what?
They ain't lucky. They drew them plays up.
We all know what happened when you guys had to face the Illini. So,
I'll tell you what, Illinois has definitely applied the pressure to Purdue the last couple of years. AO is the real deal. If he would have came out in this year's NBA draft, I would have wanted the Bulls to take him at number 4. He's that special of a talent. To me, Purdue's got a kid named Jaden Ivey that is
who hit a big shot,
a lot like AO in play style. So, hit a big time shot here the other night. So, yeah, we'll see about Illinois. We don't play them again until possibly the Big Ten tournament. I think we had you guys with a little bit of a lead in the second half of the last game, and then you guys, finished the job with us. So I will be interested to see the next matchup.
And that's like the frustration that I have with this Illini team, is because when you watch them, I do believe they're physically bigger than a lot of the teams in the Big Ten, which is crazy to say because the Big Ten is known for having guys that look like defensive ends playing, power 4. And it's just like crazy to see. Like, but that's the problem with Illinois, and they do not know how to start with their foot on the gas. So you'll see them get down, and you'll see them let teams go on huge runs. Like, what is it? Purdue went on a 20-0 run, a 22-0 run against us, and took the lead after we were up double digits. And that's the problem with this Illini team, is they kind of take their foot off the gas. They'll have a huge second half. We were down 12 against Northwestern. They ended up outscoring Northwestern 55-13 or something in the second half.
Yeah.
But the Big Ten is so good, and once you get later into this year, into March and into February, you can't afford to let teams get ahead of you, because they're going to end up beating you. And you've seen that already. That's why the Illini have 5 losses. So,
yeah, the Illinois and Rutgers have surprised me here in this midway stretch of the Big Ten season. They've both faltered. Illinois, I guess I could have maybe predicted a little bit of a struggle, because I knew last year they were the underdog nobody saw coming. This year they're taking everyone's best punch, and they're still relatively a young team as far as their leaders are concerned. I know Kofi is, an older, but AO to me still has to learn to be the top dog. And so it's not going to be easy every night when you're, taking everyone's best punch, but they're going to be tournament ready as long as they get the correct amount of wins, which I'm sure is not going to be an issue for them. The Rutgers might be in a bigger situation with that, but yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun here in the next couple months going forward with Big Ten basketball, Andy, because, it's going to be a dogfight every night. There's like a game every single night. And, I'm certainly looking forward to covering it, because, when the tournament gets close, I'm going to be standing on pins and needles. We did tonight's show just so I could watch the Purdue-Michigan game in peace tomorrow night. So I'm excited for it personally, and I look forward to being able to chop it up with you going forward. Iowa is playing Indiana right now, and they're beating Indiana here currently in the first half. So I'm sorry, Mayor Greg. I don't mention. Greg. Yeah, well, he was going to
go ahead. I was going to bring this up. The Pac-12. The Pac-12 has some good teams. They do. They have the Pac-12. I would say they have some better players than they do actually like teams. UCLA's got a couple good guys. I want to say Chris Smith is like a very good player, somebody you should watch, like for like Naismith and all of that stuff. So yeah, I mean the Pac-12 they got some guys and they got a couple good teams, but at the end of the day, at the top of the board is going to be the Big 12, and it's going to be the Pac-12. See, now he's got me saying it, the Big 12 and the Big 10. So there's the Pac-12 love.
Yeah.
But
you're never going to hear too much Pac-12 talk from me.
No,
they're on the other side of the country. They might as well play basketball on Mars as far as I'm concerned. Unless there's a recruit from this area that plays on one of those teams, I rarely pay attention to them. So yes, you're correct. I'm always sleeping on the teams out west, and then they come and surprise me when the tournament rolls around. It's all Big 10 all day here at Braggs in the Stands. So we are definitely going to be covering a lot of that stuff here going forward. Andy, before I cut you loose, man, what are your final thoughts as far as what you saw from the Bears? We were talking about it earlier. What you'd like to see from them this offseason? Do you want them to sell the farm for Deshaun, or would you rather them try to go a different route like a Dak Prescott, or would you like them to trade up for someone that you got your eye on in the draft? As far as the quarterback specifically is concerned, how do you want them to attack this specifically?
Either of the three, honestly. I mean, they're all great options to me. I just don't want them to do like, okay, let's bring in Fitzmagic. Let's bring in, whoever off the, scrap heap. Make a move and go all out. And that's what I was saying earlier. You gotta get it fixed at some point. If you need to trade all your draft picks, then you do so. If you need to trade, David Montgomery, you need to trade Darnell Mooney, you need to trade any of these guys on the defense, you do it, because that's the only way you're going to get this fixed. I want to give Nagy the benefit of the doubt, because he did not pick Trubisky, and Trubisky, struggled. And I don't want to get too into that, obviously, because we could spend all day on that. But I want to give Nagy the benefit of the doubt. But then again, you're picking number 20. So if they can trade up and get the guy that they want, I'm totally cool with that. If they want to go all out and spend the money and spend draft picks, I would be okay if it was for the right guy. If it was for Deshaun Watson, if it was for a Dak Prescott, then I'm okay with it. If you're going to go out there and, offer, I don't know, Jacoby Brissett $21 million or whatever, kind of what you did with Nick Foles, then you're going to have a lot of people out there who are even more angry than they are now. And so if I'm the Bears, and what I want to see is just, I just want to see them do the right thing, fix this. That's all I want.
Please fix this.
Yeah, that's all. Just
Andy's
fix it.
dying wish to Virginia McCaskey and, of course, Matt Nagy. Matt's listening. This is Matt watching Braggs in the stands. This is all
there you go.
live shot of him watching the show right now. So he hears your cries, and he will hopefully, him and Ryan Pace, this guy right here with the stunning hairdo, we'll get it done. So again, Andy, appreciate all your time tonight. A lot of fun chopping it up. Got Johnny B here coming up around the clock. I've been making him hang a little too long, so I'm gonna cut you loose here, Andy, and look forward to hear your input on the Big Ten basketball season and everything else. I wanted to talk a little Cubs with you, but we ran out of time. So maybe next time we'll chop up the Cubs talk. Hopefully Chris Bryant is a happy camper, and hopefully my Boilers can keep climbing up that Big Ten chart, and I'll root for your Illini along the way. So again, Andy, really appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you again here real soon.
All right, boys. Thanks for having me.
All right. That is Andy Hensel from the Joliet Slammers and the Windy City Bulls. Pretty cool stuff. Does a lot of cool coverage around the area, and a great follow on Twitter at AndyGetBuckets, and a frequent caller to the Waddle and Silvy show. So, that was a lot of fun chopping it up with Andy. And before we move on to our next segment, of course, I got to play that funky music, Jake boy, because I got to hit my lines like we always do here at Braggs in the Stands. And I memorized them this time, Jake. Do you not believe me? Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Sorry,
I can't.
Go for it.
Oh,
Yeah.
You're muted. I was got scared. It was into the darkness. So there we go. A little soothing music. Whatever you said, I'm sure was really funny. So
it was.
That Andy Get Buckets, Andy Hensel interview was brought to you by Fanbags Cornhole, Chicago's official supplier of professional cornhole boards and bags. Choose from any of their officially licensed designs, or have my boy Brian design a custom set using anything from a selfie to your company's logo. Visit www.fanbagscornhole.com and use the promo code BRAGS to get 10% off your entire order. That's www.fanbagscornhole.com and use the promo code BRAGS for 10% off. Step up your game with Fanbags Cornhole. Bam! How you like me now?
You didn't read off a sheet for that?
No, I did. I'm sorry.
You said you memorized it.
I know, I lied. I'm sorry, I lied. I don't lie. One man that never lies is our guy Johnny B. He's always here, telling truth, stating facts, making you money stacks high in the sky so you can make as much money and be so happy. How are you, Johnny B? Sorry for keeping you so long. We were chopping it up with Andy. He was a lot of fun to talk to, and appreciate your patience, because I know you've been gearing up, ready to talk about your experience down in Kansas City, my man. You were in the stands once again and got to see your boys take it home. How did it feel, Johnny B?
Well, it was good to be back. I've been there. This was my fourth game. I did 3 regular season games, and this was the obviously first playoff game that we had. They said it was the same attendance, 16,000, but I think someone's got some splaining to do. I think it might have been a little bit more than 16,000. But, the defense played well. As my boy, the Honey Badger, says, I'm just feeling that championship swagger, baby. Just feeling it.
Hey, we're happy for you. You sent some pictures along with your gang that you were hanging out with. There's your lovely wife, Abby, to your right. You had some friends with you. This was a great picture of you and Abby before the game. Or you guys were a little excited, or was this after the game?
That was the day before the game when we, when we stake out our prey, and where we're going to do the, beat our opponents down. So we stake it out. We do a little ceremonial things, and then, get fired up for the following day.
I love it. I love the intensity from Abby. She is She is the best. So you actually shared some cool highlights. I'll have to share these along here. I'll share the first one. And this is Johnny B's shot from the stands. And this is kind of the stuff that we live for here at Brags in the Stands.
That man is not using his mask appropriately.
Well,
That's okay.
Just before the touchdown, he was drinking, and then all of a sudden, in that 30 yard zone, that's our red zone. So I mean, he can strike at any time.
That's fair.
Oh, snag! He's like, Kelsey's gonna score. And then we were all fired up. And
I thought I heard someone yell "Helter Skelter" in the background.
What a cool shot! Look at Kelsey shakes that dude. You've had a couple shots of Kelsey slamming into the end zone like that. He is quite a talent. Yeah, you guys seem to have let maybe a few more fans into the stands. That's okay. It seems like they're all socially distanced. Then there's your guy. It's hard when you start yelling. The mask comes down. It's not easy. But we're all doing our best here.
We have ours strategically placed under our sunglasses, so
it's awful that we all have to worry about this stuff as we fight through this pandemic. We're almost through it. Vaccinations will be handed out, and we're gonna get this over with. No, we're 2021 is gonna be a year of positivity, and that's why Johnny B is always with us here at Brags in the Stands, because he brings that positivity, he brings that energy,
he brings football joy when we have football sorrow.
He brings that happiness to all of us, and not only that, he helps you make some money from Yo Couch, and that is what Johnny B does every week in his world famous segment, Johnny B for 3. So I'm going to let Johnny B take it away and give you those picks so you can make that money. Take it away, Johnny B.
All right. Well, we had some little craziness going on last week. We're 56-40 overall with the show picks and the game day picks. We were 1-2 last week with my picks. We got my number one play, my big play of the week. That was the winners win fees with the Packers and the Chiefs. No Mahomes for the second half of that game. No problem. The Chiefs covered a -4 with that 1 point victory with the spread and that one good hit. Dobbins dropped a touchdown pass. So, I mean, it was a little screen pass and he would have been in. So he dropped that. We didn't get that one. And then the touchdown passes for Mahomes. We were going up and down the field and obviously didn't get the over 2.5 with him going out of the game. But I did give a game day pick of over 0.1 interception or 0.5 interception for Baker Mayfield. And my boy, the Honey Badger, passed that one for us as he threw the interception to him. So with that being said, we're a 31-11 on those game day picks, which is on fire. And I'll probably have another one of those Sunday morning. I don't know. We have a later game, so we'll see what I'm doing there. But I'll hopefully get a game day pick out. But let's do these Johnny B for 3 picks right now. My number one pick, I mean, I know the Bears fans hate him, but this guy is one of the best, if not the best wide receiver in football. Devontae Adams, anytime touchdown. The odds aren't too good, but I think he's going to score. I think he might even score 4. So if you want to get creative, you can actually get him to score 2 touchdowns too if you're really feeling it. That pays plus 225. But I like him to score 1 and that's my pick. Number 1 for Johnny B for 3. Number 2 pick. Chiefs with Mahomes. I don't think he has a concussion. I got some information on the inside. It's only going to be a matter of time, maybe tomorrow, before they say it's clear. So I'm going to take the Chiefs -2.5 with Mahomes. We already beat the Bills in their building one. The Bills got outscored. Or sorry, not outscored. They got outgained in yards by both of their playoff opponents already. And those playoff opponents are not Mahomes. So I'm taking the Chiefs at -2.5 at minus 127. And the third pick, you know who he is, TE1. But are we going to say TE1 all time? I think when it's all said and done, we might. Travis Kelce, number 87. I don't care who's throwing the ball to him. Big Red can throw the ball to right there. Travis Kelce, anytime TD scorer, minus 125. And that is your Johnny B for 3.
Johnny B for 3, knocking it out of the park as per usual for his fans all across the globe. Johnny B doing his thing, going back to Kansas City to finish the job and see his team to the Super Bowl.
Greg,
how are you feeling about it?
We call this the AFC Championship, or if you want to include both, it's called Championship Week. That's what we call it. When you guys fire everybody eventually or get Deshaun Watson, you'll be talking about these things too. But this is called Championship Week. How am I feeling? I'm ready. I'm crazy. I don't want to sleep. I want to go now. I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm pumped. I'm going to gas up Big Red. Going to grab abs. We're going to go. We're going to scream. I got a new sign I'm going to debut. I'm going to bring the cheetah sign too. It's going to be lit, man. We're ready.
Nice. We haven't sniffed this since 2010, right? Greg and I were at the last Bears playoff victory.
Jake and I went to the last Bears win, which was 2010 divisional round against the Seahawks. Greg Olsen on like the third play of the game, down the seam for 50-yard touchdown.
Lovely snowy day on the lakefront.
Kellen Davis had a big touchdown at the end of the game. I actually caught it on my little flip phone camera. I had a great video of it, but that got lost in the phones of time. No, there was no there was no Google Cloud or anything like that back then to save your beautiful thing. So I'm excited for you, Johnny B. Last week you guys had to face the ultimate moment with Chad Henne in there. Patrick Mahomes comes out with a concussion. They rule him out for game. And where was your headspace at as things were starting to unravel and the Cleveland Browns were making their attempt at the miracle comeback?
Well, to be honest, I really wasn't overall too worried. Obviously, I don't want to see my boy go out, and we actually did not end up punting in the entire game. So when we were going up and down the field with Mahomes, we did have the kicker miss, a kick and then an extra point, which was kind of weird, but we were moving the ball. So the defense was looking good. I wasn't too worried. Obviously, I don't want Mahomes to go out, but I just felt like the D wasn't going to let him score. We let him score one touchdown in the second half. And they never had the lead in the entire game. So how could I be that worried? They never had the lead.
How did you feel on the final sequences of the game where it looked like Cleveland may get the ball back and there's a third down play and then a 4th and 1 where, first you have Chad Henne get the first down on the big run on 3rd and long. And then you have the 4th and 1 where they choose to throw it and put the game in Chad Henne's hands. What were your thoughts on both those plays?
Well, first of all, I'd already figured out how much time was going to be left before the third down play if we did run the ball on 3rd down and before Henne had run for that long scramble. So I was already figuring out the time in my hand. And I said to myself, it'll be whatever, minute 20 left or whatever I figured out. And I said, we just don't let him score. A field goal does him no good. We're up by 5. And I liked our chances. But then when Henne went around the side, I didn't even know he could run that fast, to be honest with you. I mean, he's a little bit older, but I just didn't know he had the wheels. Maybe he had the adrenaline going. I don't know. But when it was 4th and less than a yard, I knew we were going for it. When we were in the shotgun, I was like, man, we're in the shotgun on 4th. And I was like, no, I said, this is a chance to win the game. You don't have to worry about putting the defense back out there. And if you don't get it, then the defense has to stop him from getting over the goal line. When Williams came back, to the backfield, I thought we might do, a running play out of the shotgun. But then he just kept him there for a little bit more protection. And Cheetah wanted the ball, and he made the throw and sat down, and that was it, man. And it was party time, that's for sure.
Yeah, Matt Nagy got a lot of slack, or criticism for running a similar 4th and 1 play where they ran an out route and it didn't work. Allen Robinson did not come free the way Tyreek Hill did. And so it was interesting in that moment because, for Bears fans, not only do they watch Kansas City games with, a lot of envy and jealousy And then, of course, every play Patrick Mahomes makes is a slap in Bears fans' faces every time. Then you got Andy Reid running plays that Matt Nagy is heavily criticized for, and it executing and working. And not only that, but without Patrick Mahomes, with Chad Henne at quarterback. So it makes you question everything that you say when it comes to Matt Nagy's decision-making. And, because in that moment, the system and the plan did work, and it didn't matter that it was a terrible quarterback that was executing the play. It was about, obviously Tyreek Hill's a great talent, so he's going to get open, but it's about execution and timing and knowing when to call
How many fourth downs did you have at that point in the game that you were trying to convert? Because the Bears were on about 7 or 8 at that point.
That's true.
Too, so.
They dipped into the well a million times.
A lot of times.
And the fourth, when they didn't work for the Packers, they had already converted it 4 fourth downs. So that is a great point, Jay.
Here's the funny thing about it is I watched a lot of the Henne interviews after, and when I was driving, Abs would pull him up on the phone. I could listen to him. I don't obviously watch him, but I listened to him through the speakers. And he said, when Mahomes went out, everybody just really came up to him and is like, that told him that they believed him and had confidence in him. And, he did make some great plays, and, he made some great throws. And then he did throw an interception, which I thought was a bad play call. And Andy Reid, I believe, took responsibility for the play call. I didn't like the play call and in the situation that we were in, but he shook it off, and you can say he's a bad quarterback. You can say he's a journeyman quarterback. You could say anything you want. But when the game was on the line in a big pressure situation, he delivered. He made the run. He put his head down. He got it to a part, where we could actually try the fourth down play. And you could say what you want about the throw, but the throw was legit. I mean, yeah, it was a short throw, but it was on the money. It was tight. It was fast. And you throw it to the cheetah, who's obviously got some of the greatest hands I've ever seen. And then that's it. It's over.
Spoiler.
Right. That's it. Your waitress.
Riches over there. He's that fat cow in the back, just living it up. Johnny B, just living the dream. Super Bowl aspirations. Once again, there's his shot. Last year in the Super Bowl, as soon as they had won the entire thing. Now, Johnny B, it's a big one, but are you going to go to the game if they win, or are you not even thinking about that right now because you want to see it through for your championship week?
Well, it's kind of funny because I was just talking to some people today as we're reminiscing and getting ready to play in our third consecutive AFC championship game. I just want to throw that out there. Is that I had bought the tickets for the Super Bowl the Thursday, which is obviously today, the Thursday before the AFC championship last year. I gambled to get a better price, and it paid off. This year, it's kind of weird with the COVID, and they're saying this amount of fans, but they're hoping to get some more. So it's been kind of a little bit quiet with the tickets. I will be in a lottery for season ticket holders, and there's some contests going on. I do have a couple connections as well I'm trying to use to possibly get tickets, but I did book everything to get down there about 10 months ago in the hopes that I would be back at the Super Bowl inside the stadium this year. So the next couple days, the next week, if we do win the game on Sunday, a lot could happen. I probably won't go if I, and just hang out down there with the COVID situation if I don't have tickets. But I never say never anymore. You never know. You never know.
Well, you were our Super Bowl
to the Chiefs in the state of Florida.
You and Abby were my Super Bowl correspondents last year on Shy Fans in the Stands, but this year I believe it will be so much cooler to see that experience if you're able to go and you're lucky enough to go for a second time, you lucky dog, you. And I'm rooting for that because I think it would be really cool to see all your coverage that you could bring here on Brags in the Stands, showing the video, showing the pictures. Last year we just had to hear the experience because we were only doing audio on Shy Fans, and it was amazing to hear your and Abby's experience. So it'll be cool to live that with you. We're rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. I know that personally. Definitely rooting for you to take it home on. I like the Bills. I ain't got a problem with the Bills fans or the Bills as a team.
I would like to see the Bills deserve a victory, but hey,
No, I won't be upset if they get in, but I am rooting for you, Johnny, personally, because you're a friend, and I do think it would be cool to see your shots and everything from the Super Bowl. So
the Bills deserve a victory. We're the best team in football, baby. What do they deserve? They got their
fans deserve it.
Their fans are good people.
Already, baby. We spanked them.
Bills fans are good people. I saw they donated to what was it, Lamar Jackson's charity. He got hurt and they donated to that. You saw them do that when Andy Dalton miracled their way, and helped them get into the playoffs, I believe last year or 2 years ago. And they all came together. I like those kind of things. We're charitable here at Braggs in the Stand. So I appreciate Bills fans and their efforts, how they kind of go out of their way and do their own thing. And then of course their tailgates are legendary. So all that stuff. And then when you consider they lost 4 Super Bowls.
I don't give a damn about all that.
Well, I'm just saying all that stuff. If they were to win and upset your Chiefs, it wouldn't piss me off like if Green Bay gets in. So
if the Bills end up beating the Chiefs, the Packers are going to be Super Bowl champions for sure.
Yeah, whoever comes out of the AFC, I'm rooting for. Let's just leave it at that.
When we were at the Super Bowl last year, when we were kind of tailgating at the Super Bowl a little bit, even though you weren't supposed to, but they did, we actually met a couple that won a contest for the NFL 100, and they're from Buffalo. And they got married at halftime of a Buffalo Bills game last year, and they won this prize. So included in their prize was not only to get married on the field at halftime at Buffalo Bills Stadium, at New Era Stadium maybe now. I know they changed the name a couple times, but they also got a prize package to go to the Super Bowl. So we actually met them outside the stadium because we got there super early. It was a beautiful day, and we hung out with them. And, they were talking about Josh Allen, and I said, I think he just needs to get with the right coaches. So here we are a year later. I'm in contact with them once in a while, and here we are, Bills and Chiefs.
Yeah, awesome.
AFC Championship. And they said that the fan bases are very similar. It's a smaller market. I know people say Buffalo's New York, but let's face it, compared to the other markets out there, it's a smaller market. And she said that the way the fans are passionate in Buffalo and then talking with us and hearing about Kansas City, she said it's similar. So it's definitely
you'll see Bills fans there at Arrowhead on Sunday or Saturday.
There's definitely some Browns fans even there. Not as many as a lot of people thought, but there were some there.
And both teams, the Browns and the Bills, have been waiting for these moments for a long time. So they're going to be more intrigued to make the move to see a game, especially as limited to seeing games as we have been as fans this year. So it'll be an exciting game. I'm excited for you. Excited to see the shots in the video, the touchdowns you're going to bring here. So we'll be rooting for you hard. Let's get right into it.
Yeah, and if the Bills for some reason did make the Super Bowl, I do think that Raymond James Stadium would be full of Bills fans coming down from New York City. Probably a lot of snowbirds down there anyway who are Bills fans. It would be packing that stadium.
If Tampa was in, it'll be a home game for them. So you have to wonder how much they'd be willing to spend. Because
Packers fans.
What's interesting about a Super Bowl is it's about how much you're willing to spend. So even though it's in Tampa, Tampa fans may get priced out if they're not willing to spend the way Buffalo fans are willing to spend or the way Chiefs fans are willing to spend. So even though they may have home field because it's their home stadium, they may be out-fanned depending on, each, because to me, both AFC team represented, whoever gets in, Chiefs fans, Bills fans, they're both crazed and they're going to pay
Packers fans too.
And I'm not saying – yeah, absolutely. So, but I'm just saying specifically if Tampa were to make it, some people are going to say it's definitive home field advantage, and it will be field-wise, but I do think people are going to underestimate that the opposition's fans are going to outdo Tampa fans because it's going to be all about that who's going to be willing to spend. So let's get into it, man, because I'm excited to see what we're all picking. Woo! And it's chalk. It's chalk, baby.
Chalk. Oh. So Johnny's got the 9-1 postseason pick. So good for you, Johnny, because you already won that because we're not off. We're on the picks here. So Packers across the board. Chiefs over.
I guess it's not over yet, or it is because we all picked.
Yeah, I mean,
don't take this down. I gotta take a picture of this just to get a picture.
Why didn't you put the stupid king thing? Johnny B wins not only the regular season pick'ems, but he picks the playoff pick'ems.
What did I lose? I can't remember. I won so much. I can't remember who I picked at all.
All it does is win.
This is unlimited. What a chump.
Well, congratulations, Johnny. But let's get into it, man, because the Packers play the Buccaneers. It's at Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be a rout. I'll be holding my breath for Tampa Bay to make it a game.
I don't think it'll be a rout whatsoever because that Tampa Bay defense, if they show up the way they did last week against the Packers, they're going to have their hands full. And then the Packers still need a guy like, Scanling, and they need Lazard. They need these guys that, Tanyan, they need these guys to show out and play because they're not like elite talents or even, I wouldn't even consider them great talents or, whatever. They're good role players.
Right.
And they showed out last week. So they need to keep that going because Tampa's got a damn good defense and they got a lot of weapons.
Let's not forget Tyreek Hill had 240 yards against that Tampa defense. So
Tyreek Hill's a freak.
What is Devontae Adams going to do? I mean, that one, they did have a good game. Their pass rush is good. I like their trenches, but that secondary seems to me like sometimes it's flip a coin. They've had some really nice games, and all of a sudden it's like, what the heck? Like you just gave, you got destroyed. So Michael Thomas, obviously we know now he wasn't even near 100%. He's going to have a couple surgeries. So I think, they definitely have a chance if they play like they did last week, but I don't know, man. I don't know how they're going to stop Devontae Adams.
The Packers are a well-oiled machine right now. Yeah, it's too hard for me to envision. And you know what? The only thing I will say is Tom Brady's got no pressure. He's got his whole legacy locked in. Aaron Rodgers is playing with all the pressure in this game. He's still trying to get that second Super Bowl. It's at home. This is their first conference championship game at home. They, I believe his last 5 or something have been on the road or something like that. So this is their first one at home, limited fans. So they will have some fans, I'm sure, but it's going to be, 2 of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So I'm really looking forward to the matchup. I'm hoping the game will be close, but I fear that Green Bay is going to rout them. They're just so hot right now. Devontae Adams is on another level. To me, I don't see Tampa Bay being able to keep up, but I hope I'm wrong. I enjoy Tampa. I
don't know what the weather's going to be like, but
I heard snow earlier in the week, but I haven't checked, so I'm not 100% certain when it comes to that. But hey, Green Bay has let the Rams were in it last week against them for a period of time. It was close and it shouldn't have been. So these games do even themselves out in the playoffs. So maybe you're right in that regard. I hope both games are great games because that's, for me, with no dog in the fight for any of these teams, I just want to see some good football.
I hope that my game is over by
yeah, we know you do. But
quarter.
No, I'm rooting for you to win, but I want it to be
high five. But whatever. Yeah. If it has to go down to the last minute, and it's fine. I'm good either way.
Are you too nervous to pull your phone out for a big play? Like, how come you didn't? Where's the video of the third down run with Henny? How come
sometimes I just have to be in the moment. A lot of times when I do,
are you superstitious? Because I used to be like I always love capturing the moment, but I used to be more superstitious about it, and now because of the work that I do, so to speak, I pretty much have swiped my superstition rule.
It's kind of funny because sometimes when I get these good plays, they're not even that close to the goal line, and it's just like I don't know, I'm just feeling something.
Feel it. That's how I.
And a lot of times I don't even watch through my lens at first. I'm watching through my eyes and just holding the phone in the direction of the play. And I'm watching through my own eyes. And then all of a sudden, if it starts getting crazy, then I'll lift the phone up as it progresses. So
enjoy that.
I don't do it every play. Obviously, I want to be in the moment. I'm in the moment more than I'm not. Sure. And I've just been a little, I guess, lucky to catch these plays. But they say, Greg, luck favors the prepared.
Chance favors the prepared mind, as they say in what is it? Not Lethal Weapon. With Steven Seagal. Well, we were just talking about this a few episodes
I don't remember. I like to make up my own stuff.
Under Siege.
Under Siege too. Thank you. That was the one we were talking about. But yeah, it'll be interesting. As Chubb said, 50% chance of snow. We'll see. And I like that you say that it's a feeling thing, because that's how I am with moments. I don't always have it out every play, but I was curious, like if it gets down to the end and there's a chance for Mahomes to throw a game-winning touchdown, you're too afraid to pull your phone out in that moment. Because to me, if you get a moment like that this Sunday, I need you to bust it out, John.
If it's in my end zones near section 127 and it's a game winner, the phone will be out.
I'll be out.
I wasn't sure where your superstitions lie, but I like that it's a gut feeling too, because I definitely go off of that when I'm at games too. So, what are you guys' thoughts when it comes to the other game? We talked about Packers Bucks, but of course, we've heard Johnny B's thoughts here with the Chiefs game. Jake, but for me, I'm a little nervous for Johnny B's Chiefs. I picked them, but Mahomes got injured, so he's going to be, I just am worried about
Johnny's giving me his wisdom that he is fine. He got choked out. Johnny says he got choked out, and that was it.
He never even hit his head. If you look at it, his head never really hits the ground at all, maybe for like barely. He had a concussion.
I'm nervous. You guys have let these teams hang around. The Niners almost beat you in the Super Bowl. Then, 10
points, you remember.
I remember, but you were down 3-score in 9.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, too. And that flipped real quick. I understand this.
We were down by 10, not by 3 scores.
Whatever. I'm just saying you guys had to score 3. You get what I'm saying. Regardless.
Deshaun Watson, and you got a quarterback.
That was awesome.
Yeah, what was that?
I think it was his internet. It goes, Watson.
You echoed for a second, Johnny. You'll have to watch it back. But yeah, you did some crazy.
Hold on
you were in the Matrix.
You're cool.
This is all you need, Greg. It don't matter how far you're down. This is what you need. That's it.
That's right. He's not wrong about that. I was thinking about this game too. I mean, the Bills just put up 17 points on the Ravens, and they knocked Lamar Jackson out of that game by the third quarter. The Chiefs defense is playing really well. Honey Badger's playing really well. I think that's the big difference for me in picking the Chiefs in this one. Besides the unknown of Patrick, the defense is stepping up for the Chiefs, and it's at home, and they've been battle tested, and they just won a Super Bowl. And Kelsey said they've been ready for the playoffs since week 1, so they're ready. They're ready to run it back.
I'll give you one of my Chiefs hats. I have a bunch of them here for Duckers. You want me to send you one? You let me know.
I know these facts. Yeah. I'm no slob.
So we'll see. I'm just saying, I'm a little nervous. The Bills got, the vibe. They're healthy.
Both of those horrible teams that they played in the playoffs had more yards than the Bills.
Man, you talk too much junk, you're going to jinx it.
The Ravens had more yards than the Bills. Who was the first team they even played? I can't even remember. The Titans. The Titans had more yards than the Bills. They got outgained in both games. You're going to tell me they're going to shut down Patrick Mahomes? Come on, man.
So Chubbs is making mention of your girl, aka your lovely wife, Abby, and maybe speak on her hype a little bit.
Got hype.
Yeah, I sent a little. I got Chubb's message. He did a little comment on one of the videos that I put out there. There were some videos going out about 1-year anniversaries for this and that. So anyway, I just said that she was ride or die, but she's was a competitive athlete. She knows what it's all about, and she knows more about football than a lot of dudes do. So it's impressive stat line. She's all in. She gets more upset at the losses than I do, even though there hasn't been too many of them the last couple of years. But she's been a Chiefs fan, and she was never a football fan at all before the year 2000, and she's been a Chiefs fan. And that is her only
enter Johnny B into her life.
She bought into the whole thing. It's the whole experience, the stadium, the tailgate, the people, the barbecue.
I was trying to slide in, Jake. I was trying to slide in for this championship. I was like, hey, I'm sitting there looking at tickets. Maybe I can slide down and check out an AFC champ, get a little bit of that AFC championship taste. On this side of the tracks, because I don't know if we'll ever be able to go. Yeah.
Well, if you write George a letter and you tell George that you're thinking of being a Chiefs fan, he's going to give you the green light. So,
what'd you think of that, Johnny B? This guy, George McCaskey, sent this dude a letter back and told him to go bolt up.
whatever radio station they had that on, I was actually listening when they were talking about it, and I thought it was hilarious. I did not see the letter before now at the bolt up, but they were kind of talking about the situation. I caught about maybe a third of it, and I don't know, man. It almost seems like it's not real, just because like with the bolt up and all that. But like you guys were talking about on the show, how do you make up like the Chargers? Why would you pick the Chargers to make that story up? And obviously the envelope and everything looks legit in the header and everything.
Yeah,
so
the letterhead looks good.
Basically, like, hey, you know what? I'm doing what I'm doing. If you don't like it, like you said,
The thing that gives it away, I think, is the December 10. I mean, who the hell talks like that other than who said, I got your letter December 10? No one talks like that.
Letter of December 10.
Your letter of December 10. That's the kind of tell for me that I think it might be legit.
Yeah.
There she is.
She's one time Jake and I saw her at one of the Bears expos. Back in the day. We loved the McCaskies. I don't want them to sell. I just want them to win. I don't want our guy Whiskey Ranger here. He put this up last week on Twitter from the Windy City Gridiron. This is hilarious. This encapsulates what's going on over at Hallis Hall right now. We'll see how everything goes. We're all Team Watson over here. We're trying to make this picture here.
I'm not hopeful in this team.
Why don't you guys just go?
I'll do the hoping.
What about the Jones from Alabama?
Whatever. I'll worry about the draft when we get to the draft. We gotta. I want to get a veteran.
You're on the class.
Yeah, I want to get a veteran, and then we can draft a quarterback. Go right ahead.
I'm in the camp where if you don't get Watson, I'm of the mind you keep your draft. You draft the best players available. You build your team up, and you just roll with what you got. And you fire the guys that need to get fired, and then you bring in some new staff. I like that Brian Dable didn't get picked up by anybody as a head coach. I think he'd be an interesting guy to bring to Chicago. I'm of the mind that just roll with what you got. You don't need to force yourself into a quarterback situation. Just build this team because you're not competing for a championship next year. It's just not happening. So if you want to be unrealistic, then you can start wasting all your stuff to try and make next year a competitive team, but they're not going to be Super Bowl competitive next year. So build your squad and think about the future. That's how I am. That's where I'm at.
Build your squad. So let's move on to Top Shots before we wrap this night up. Did you guys get a chance to watch the Tiger Woods documentary? Did you see this, Johnny B?
I did not.
It was on HBO, man. This was one of the coolest parts of this. You guys got to check it out. This was like right when he joined the pro tour off the amateur tour, knocks in this hole-in-one. Look at the gallery in the background going crazy. I think that's what it's called. Absolutely, I'm there like throwing beers and waters under the tee box. Really, I'm not even a golf fan. I'm not somebody that really watches that much golf. I played very minimal of it as a kid. My dad was really into golf, but the documentary is really good. It's split into two parts, hour and a half each. And the first hour and a half is about, his golf climb. And then the second half is, all his, escapades off the course, and both are interesting. But the first half, just about the golf, is really, really, really good stuff. And I had to pinpoint that moment because it was just so cool. I highly recommend it. If you have HBO, definitely check it out.
Yeah, I need to check that. Johnny, are you a golfer? You strike me as a golfer.
I used to golf with my dad quite a bit. I played pretty decent level for a while. My uncle was actually on one of the lower level tours back in the day, and he was the one that taught me to play because he's a lefty and I'm a lefty. I'm decent. When I play a lot, I'm pretty decent. But, yeah, I enjoy it. I haven't played too much the last couple of years, but always thinking about maybe getting back into it. But, yeah, I've been on the course a little bit.
My wife played for the high school team, so she's very good at golf, and her brother is the pro on the golf course in the subdivision we grew up in. So their family is big into golf. I tried to play it. I'm too ADD to play.
It's fun though.
I can
go out with your boys and you drink and you play some golf. It's a good time.
Yeah, it's fun. It's but definitely check that documentary out if you get a chance. Sure. Really, really good stuff. And the other really good stuff, of course, of this last week. I'm all into the Boilers and Big Ten basketball now, and I know Johnny B's still hoping for Super Bowl glory, and he's still locked into the NFL, and I'm over here crying about the Bears, but man, my baby Boilers are knocking it out of the park. So for Top Shots, had to share along some cool stuff that Purdue Sports shared on their social media, and their big win on the road. First top 15 win on the road since 2012, brought to you by a game-winning shot from Jaden Ivey, and here it is.
Ivy to the high right wing on the dribble. Step back, deep three. Oh, my goodness! Triple time! Jaden Ivey! Purdue has the lead! Here come the Buckeyes, and a foul! A great foul by Aaron Wheeler!
It was obviously a blur. Shrews set up a play for me to, ISO my defender, and I just took it as, I've been working for this moment my whole life, and I was ready to take the big shot.
They go, Ivy, the step back for the freshman.
Yeah, we all trust him. We all know he can play. He puts in countless hours in the gym, so it's not a surprise to me. Like I said, I believe in this team more than anybody, so I'm very happy for him.
This is just one-on-one step back three. My goodness, is that a play?
That's something I work on, by myself in the gym late nights. Those are shots that, I work on, and, just to see it go down and fall was just amazing. And, I did something to help my team win.
Ivy to the high right wing on the dribble. Step back, deep three. Oh my goodness! Triple time! Jaden Ivey! Purdue has the lead. Here come the Buckeyes, and a foul. A great foul by Aaron Wheeler. Wheeler fouled Ohio State before they could attempt a three-point shot. Comes the free throw from Dwayne Washington Jr. He misses it badly. It's tipped around. Goes into the corner. It's grabbed by Aaron Wheeler, and this game has gone final. The Boilermakers have just knocked off the 15th ranked team in the country on their home floor. Purdue 67, Ohio State 65. The final in Columbus, Ohio.
There it is. Purdue Boilermakers with a big win. We got Chubbs in the chat talking his smack as per usual. And you know what, Chubbs? You want to talk about who beat Purdue. And yes, Illinois, his Illinois Fighting Illini beat Purdue. And then he proceeded to try to tell me that Purdue wasn't going to win but maybe one game over their next four. And they've since gone 4-0. So for all of Chubbs's predictive, greatness and the soothsayer that he is, Chubbs can be upset all he wants, but Purdue's rocking and rolling right now. Won a big game against Michigan State and then won top 15 on the road. And this is really cool stuff. And I know I'm boring you, Jake. I'm sorry, but this is the fun stuff for me because, crying about the damn Bears is not fun. I'm all locked into the Boilers now, and this is a really cool moment here, Johnny B. You got to check this out. After Jaden Ivey hit the game-winning shot, these were some of his feelings and emotions after the game, and I just appreciate someone that cares about winning this much. The Bears could use a few guys that care this much.
I told myself it's game over before the play, but at the timeout, I told myself, this game is over. I'm hitting the shot, and I've been in a slump, and I'm just trying to gather myself because I know I want this game so bad, and I've been struggling, mentally, just trying to gather myself, and I know I want to win, and I want to win so bad. And just to see that shot go in, it just means everything.
This obviously means a lot to you personally, clearly.
Yeah.
I know you've put an unbelievable amount of time into your shot. What has driven you to do that, all this time?
Well, it all started as a little kid, just, a ball in my hand. I've wanted it since I was a little kid, watching NBA basketball, just, look on the TV and I see all the greats out there. I just want to be like them. And, I just wanted to go to the gym. And that's all I ever wanted to do.
There it is. Jaden Ivey. Hey, Chubbs can talk. He's a jokester in the chat thinking he's funny. You can call Weak Sauce all he wants, but as I said, you can get a few players on this Chicago Bears team that care about winning that much. Johnny B, you were a competitor. You still are a competitor. to your fullest degree, but you've competed on a big time, tennis circuit, professional circuit. What were your thoughts when you see someone, pouring his heart and soul out, and then you got, Chubbs in the chat, making light of it, and Jake, they think it's funny.
Well, the generation that I grew up in and this generation is a little bit different, Greg. So, I mean, obviously it's important to him. It's, something to hopefully, keep the team going and get him going. I mean, it is a regular season game. It's against a good opponent. I get all that. But he's got to save a little bit too, man. The season is long. We're dealing with a lot of stuff all over the country, COVID and trying to get these sports played and stuff like that, and he needs to dust himself off and get focused for the next game because the next one's coming soon. But, I mean, you can't go wrong when you got somebody that cares that much. If you got a lot of guys that care that much, you're probably going to have some continuity with the team and see some good results.
Hey, I respect it. I don't disagree. He's got to look at the bigger picture and not focus so solely on one play. But he, in his context that he put in, he has been struggling from deep. And, I think as he said, the hard work that he puts in means a lot. Jeremy says there's no crying in basketball. Tom Hanks once said there's no crying in baseball. And I can understand that mentality. But you know what? Here, Braggs
in basketball, sir.
I'm a man of many emotions, and this show is Braggs in the Stands. So we embrace people that have all emotions, that show all emotions. There's nothing wrong with crying. So my final thing, because it was really cool, here was the locker room.
Here we go.
Hey, they're on a roll right now. If they got Michigan tomorrow night, the only reason we did this show,
this ain't Top Shots. This is a Purdue segment. We should
Top Shots, because listen, it's exciting. The only reason we did the show tonight, not tomorrow night, is because Purdue plays top 10 Michigan tomorrow. So I'm very excited for this game. And, Indiana's in a dogfight right now with Iowa. There's a lot of big things happening in the Big Ten. And
look at me doing this for you. So you can enjoy Purdue, and I'm not watching my Hoosiers up and down the court.
Listen,
I wouldn't be doing it anyway.
They're in bad shape. They're down 7. But, hey, give them a shot regardless. Yes, this is my Purdue gloating segment because Chubb said they were going to win 1 of 4 games, and they've done the complete opposite. They've gone 4-0. The only reason they're not 5-0 is because the Nebraska game got canceled. So here's the locker room.
Hey, Jay, take it real quick. Get your Gatorade zero. Get your zero, man.
Play that on top now.
Come on, Jay. Hey, at the end, you executed a play, and Sasha gets a wide open shot. That's what we're talking about, getting that shot. Execute at the end, Jaden gets a good shot. Aaron Wheeler made 2 big-time plays, man. Yep. He gets the contest on the block for Orange, and then he gets that rebound at the end. That's what it is.
There it is.
I think that was pretty much the best part because one of his teammates said, "Oh my God, I don't want anybody to see him crying like this for a regular season game." So they threw the Gatorade on him, and now he's just all wet. So who's gonna know what's happening?
They give every player the game when they have a special moment. They don't do it after every game, but if you have a particularly special game, they'll give you the ice bath in the locker room. Sasha received his first one last year when he had a big game. This game against Ohio State, Jaden hit the big shot, but as you heard Painter mention, Sasha had a big shot at the end of this game as well. And what was cool about it, Johnny, was how much he was attacking the rim. Most of the time, Sasha, who leads the Big Ten in 3-point percentage, is getting all his points from the 3-point line. But as you saw right there, in a lot of intensity, down 7 and 1 off the glass. So it was really exciting stuff. Like I said, hey, you might shrug at it, but beating a top 15 team on the road, this is the youngest team in the Big Ten. It's a lot of fun to watch. They're a team that a lot of people doubted would make the tournament, but they're showing up right now, and this is a big, big, big week for them. So I'm covering it. Look at this shot by Sasha to tie the game with under a minute to go, down 3. I'm sorry. He's our guy here at Braggs in the Stands, and we've We're rooting for him. I am. We got him. I got him over my shoulder here. You're not even interested. You're out of here.
I don't care.
It's exciting. I don't care. Look at this. Look at our guy here. We had him on early November, and he was talking about these goals. Look at this. They drew this play up for him. Down 3. The pride of Crown Point, Indiana. Blam! Down the well it goes. I'm sorry. I will brag about this dude.
Jerry Ross is the pride of Crown Point, Indiana. So.
Jerry Ross stepped to the side. Sasha Stefanovic. This dude is putting on a show for the Purdue Boilermakers, and it's a lot of fun to watch. He was a lot of fun, and the whole Crown Point team was fun to watch in high school. And like I said, leading the Big Ten in 3-point percentage. Taking the youngest team in the Big Ten, and I was sharing the graphic earlier. Look how high up in the Big Ten rankings they are. They're 4th, behind Wisconsin, Iowa, and Michigan right now. I mean, I'm sorry. I know Chubbs doubted them. So for me, good enough for me. That's right. All day long.
We started with the dirt rubbing in Black and Abdallah, and we ended with the dirt rubbing in Chubbs. So it was a nice little
dirt rubbing and
come up and sandwich.
We're going to have some fun this offseason, do some different things. So, yeah, had to start off the show with Black and Abdallah's little tiff with our guy, Marc Silverman, who had our back here over at Braggs in the Stands. We appreciate you, Mark, and we appreciate Mama Braggs, Mama Graham tuning in to the show. That's right, Jake. Sasha.
I'm very happy for Sasha.
Yeah.
Very happy for Sasha.
We know that. And right now, Indiana is actually tied 53-all with 9 minutes to play. So we're going to wrap things up so Jake can rush.
You want to show us some more Purdue highlights then?
No. I want to wrap this show up now. I'm going to let Johnny B get his
regular season game.
I'm going to let Johnny B get his finals words in because I know Jake wants to get to the Iowa Indiana game as fast as possible. So take it away, Johnny B, and then I'll put a bow on this thing.
All right, guys. AFC Championship, NFC Championship. It's been a long road. We got through the entire season. Let's make some money this weekend, and hopefully I'll see you in Tampa because right now it's 4 teams, and it's Tampa or bust, baby. And remember, money won is far sweeter than money earned. Woo! Let's go.
There it is, Johnny B.
I like the quiet "let's go."
He's always
I mix it up.
Yeah, you never know what to expect from Johnny B, but you're getting energy and charisma all the time from Johnny B. We appreciate Johnny B and his world famous segment, Johnny B for 3, and everything else he brings to Braggs in the Stands. Wanna again thank our guy Andy Get Buckets for hopping on Braggs in the Stands and chopping it up, talking a little Bears, talking a little Big Ten basketball. Make sure you're following him along on Twitter at AndyGetBuckets. A great follow on Twitter. Does a lot of fun work with the Joliet Slammers and the Windy City Bulls. So make sure you're checking him out and be on the lookout. Maybe we'll be talking some more basketball with Andy here going forward. I want to thank everybody for hanging out in the chat all night long. Jeremy Fourier, Chubbs, of course, Grant Sims all day long. You guys are all Braggs gang in my book. Appreciate everybody hanging out and enhancing the show with all your comments and fun questions and everything else. Mayor Greg, everybody, thank you for hanging out for Braggs in the Stands all night long. I want to thank the ESPN 1000 crew for giving us a shout out on their show and picking through who's the contrarians, who's the truthers, and everybody's just a Bears fan at the end of the day. We're having fun over here, and we appreciate everybody that loves me and everybody that's meh on me. Either way, whatever's clever. I want to thank my guy Jacob Hovanek always for helping me on Braggs in the Stands and everything we've done here in this first football season. We got one more football show to go. The Super Bowl coming up as I talk through the music, like I always do.
We will
have a Super Bowl show for sure but we are rooting our guy Johnny B on for his big Chiefs game. Rooting you on, buddy. Hope you bring home the dub. So that wraps things up once again. Always bear down, Chubb. We will catch you next week. If we're on next week, you never know. Be on the lookout. Always stay safe. Have fun. Bear down. Be merry. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen.